Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Sunday afternoon chat and another week of beautiful weather here in southern Oklahoma. January has been spectacular. I looked at the weather forecast and clear out to the 20th of the month. The 20th of the month, we've got almost no days where it gets down to at least 32 degrees freezing. And we have some days above 70. We've got, I think, just every single day is above 60 degrees. So it's just absolutely been fantastic. One of the big happenings here this week on Twin Eagle Ranch is my partner, Steve Wells, and his son, Aaron, have been working on our water system. We have had Culligan out here this week installing our new water system. We're very excited about that. It's a really good system, $23,000 just for the Culligan's part of it, and I think that Steve and Aaron have done just a tremendous amount of work. Mostly Aaron, just a lot of work on tying the lines, burying lines, and stuff like that. So we have got an abundance of water here, an unlimited supply of water, as you can just look around and see. But it's very, very expensive water too, but it should be just absolutely perfect. After they get through with it, they're very, very close to having it. They had a valve or two they had to go back and get. So, but it ought to be done, well, any minute now. We've had water running through it, but the water coming directly out of the lake and not through the filtration system. And you can shower with it, but it's not water that you can drink or use for anything else. But we're excited about that. I'll kind of take you over there and show you that sometime, do a little short video showing you our new Culligan system. We didn't get any special deal from Culligan, that's for sure. I'm not promoting them, but I'm just telling you that's what we've got, and so we're excited about that. We're very, very excited about that. This week was a good one. Sherry came down here and stayed with Chris a couple of days. I took off and went down to Lake Ivie in Texas, where my buddy Josh Jones had caught a 13 and a 14 the same day the other day and caught like 11 bass over 8 pounds in one day. But the fishing turned south. I mean, the fishing went south at Ivie, and it's terrible. You'll not see these days on Jimmy Houston Outdoors Fishing on the television show, I promise you, on ESPN or the Discovery Channel or AT&T Sports Southwest or nothing. It won't be on there, because we just did absolutely horrible. And I know that people are always telling me, why don't you show some of the days on television, Jimmy, where you don't catch any fish? Well, you don't want to see those days. And we've not showed those days, and will not show these days on television either. It was absolutely horrendous. And there was about 100 boats on the lake the first day we were there. Not nearly as many the second day we were there. I fished with my buddy Jim Bob Basham the second day. And the first day, let me tell you, we had the pattern. As a matter of fact, when I went into Elm Creek Campground and cabins there the second morning, they got a little cafe, and everybody kind of has breakfast there and gets prepared for the day. And some of the new people coming in fishing Ivie for the first time buys their launch ramp pass and maybe their Texas fishing license and whatever. So it's really just a bunch of fishermen there, and a lot of friends of mine were there. Kyle Hall, who's I think won $400,000 fishing tournaments last year, big MLF tournament or FLW tournament he won last year, and a couple other big tournaments he won. Tommy Law was down there fishing. I talked to a lot of people that were friends of mine, met a lot of new people down there that have been following us on television for these 40 some odd years we've been on television. A lot of people that are out there on our social media platform also. We've got about our social media channels now: Jimmy Houston Outdoors Fishing, Chris and Jimmy Houston's Twin Eagle Ranch, and the Catch a Better Life channel. Those three channels now total over 150,000 subscribers, so that's really, really good. You really need to be subscribed to that Jimmy Houston Outdoors Fishing channel, because we're going to have some really exciting stuff up there this year. We've got a lot of neat videos up there right now already, and we just started that channel about a month ago, and a little over 4,000 people on that one, but that channel will grow rapidly as the year goes on. We're on ESPN every Saturday morning. Be sure and catch that. The shows are running right now. They'll run for the first 6 months of the year. They're on at 7 o'clock Eastern Time, 6 o'clock Central Time on ESPN2. ESPN2 on Discovery Channel Sunday morning, AT&T Sports Southwest a couple of times during the week, the Pursuit Channel a couple of times during the week, WFN, World Fishing Network, 4 times a week. So we're on about a dozen different channels. So be sure to catch Jimmy Houston Outdoors. Set your VCR recorders, or I don't know if they call them VCRs anymore. They're just digital recorders, I guess, now that happens. But set your recorders and record that Jimmy Houston Outdoors show there and take a watch at it. It's really, really great. We've been doing this. This is year number 40 6 or 47, I can't remember which, that we've been doing Jimmy Houston Outdoors on national television. I was going to tell you about this week because I had this planned, and I worked and tried to rearrange a lot of things on my schedule where I could just take off and go fishing 2 days and try to do a television show and hopefully maybe catch my PB. My PB is 13 pounds and 1 ounces. Many moons ago, a long time ago, when I caught that fish on a Cordell Boy Howdy topwater bait. And I've really been trying to beat that for a long time. I've caught 79 bass over 10 pounds, but have yet to beat that 13-1. And like Ivie produced the maximum amount of share lunker bass, which is a bass 13 pounds and above, during a certain period of time that it could produce last year. It'll probably do it again this year. But it was absolutely horrendous. So let me tell you what Josh and I did. When I went into that Elm Creek Cafe, there was about 50 or 60, 70 fishermen gathered around there eating breakfast and talking and drinking coffee and buying lures and all kinds of stuff. And I went in there and I said, okay, guys, I said, I've got the pattern figured. Josh and I fished yesterday, and I just want to tell you the way we did it. Here's what we did. We went and fished this lake here, OH Ivie, till 1 o'clock, caught 1 bass, weighed 3 pounds on a Shane's Alabama rig. Went over to Hordes Creek Lake. We fished there about a couple hours, maybe an hour and a half, caught 2 fish. We went over to Coleman and caught 3 fish. So the only problem was we ran out of daylight. It got dark on us. We fished till dark at Coleman, so we fished 3 different lakes and caught, that's right, 6 bass. 6 bass. 6 bass. That's right. That's all. And then so everybody got a big laugh out of that. We had a lot of fun. There was a 13-pounder caught on Thursday while I was fishing. Another boy within sight of where we were fishing, as a matter of fact, he called us, hollered at us over there, wanted to get a picture taken. Caught one that weighed 1190 on his scales, the largest, only double-digit fit bass he'd ever caught in his life. Obviously, the largest bass he'd caught, a PB. 1190, and he actually went in and weighed it because he thought maybe his scales were bad. He weighed 1188 on the official scale, so he lost 2/10. And my buddy Larry Walker is out in Idaho fishing that great smallmouth lake out there, and caught a smallmouth that weighed 794, I think, or 796, something like that, almost an 8-pound smallmouth out there. And it's 26 degrees where he was fishing. So Larry's getting a little, his head, he's getting old, and his head, he doesn't think quite as well. And so while we're having 70-degree weather in Oklahoma, he's in Idaho fishing 26 degrees. But congratulations, Larry. That's a really big fish. He caught one over 8 pounds there earlier this year. I'm gonna try to go out there myself, maybe at the end of May or something this coming year. I don't really know. But the following day, we went out and fished at OH Ivie, Jim Bob and I, until about 1 o'clock, daylight till 1 o'clock. I got one bite. I hooked that fish on an Alabama rig, and it came unbuttoned. And I was fishing my Alabama rig barbless, so I lost that fish, and it's just really hard to get a bite right down there. The full moon may have something to do with it. We're catching these fish, some of them 25, 30 feet deep, a lot of them over 40 feet of water, but suspended up a little bit, using a Garmin live scope to locate them. And we actually fished until about 11 o'clock. We're out seeing fish. We didn't see very many. We saw a few big ones and some small ones. We were actually fishing for about any bass that we saw on that scope to try to catch fish. That's how difficult it was. We wasn't even just fishing for the big ones like we do a lot of times. We was fishing for any bass that we saw on that live scope, and we just could not get on a bite, couldn't make them bite. About 11 o'clock, I decided I'd try to spinnerbait fish a little bit, because I did catch some fish here last week on a spinnerbait, slow rolling spinnerbait over the grass, and I did that for a couple hours. And Jim Bob was throwing a swim bait on a jig head while I was spinnerbait, and we did that until about 1 o'clock, from about 11 to 1 o'clock, and never got a bite doing that either. So we noticed a lot of other people that switched and started fishing shallow also. So it was just a tough bite down there. And I say all of that. And by the way, Josh went to Possum Kingdom. My buddy Josh Jones went to Possum Kingdom to fish on Friday. He said, I just had all these lakes right down here. I'm going to drive over and fish Possum Kingdom, which is over around Weatherford, not too far from Weatherford, Texas. And he zeroed there on PK also. And he saw a lot of fish. He said he saw a lot of fish on his scope. Couldn't make them bite. He said, Jimmy, we were actually fishing for 1 pound fish and still couldn't make them bite. And I say all of that just to tell you that it doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter how many times you've been fishing in Bassmaster Classics, or how many Angler of the Year titles you won, or how many bass over 10 pounds, or how many bass over 13. Josh has caught 7 share lunker bass in Texas, 7 over 13 pounds. 2 of those over 15 pounds. And yet you know, him and I together caught 6. Both of us together caught 6. And by the way, 2 of those are crappie. We caught 4 bass and 2 crappie. And we caught the 2 crappie at Horse Creek. There's some big crappie in Horse Creek. It wasn't very many, though. We didn't find very many, just individual fish that we had finally got 2 of them to bite, putting a jig right in front of their nose to make them bite. But so it doesn't matter, you know, what you've done. You can go out there and blank out. So if you go out there and don't get a bite, particularly if you're fishing when the moon's full like it is right now, and the fish are down deep, it's probably going to be really difficult. Now, within the next week or two, when the water cools off, probably those fish are going to start suspending and be a little bit easier to see, a little bit easier to stay on, and probably, hopefully, easier to catch. I want to really thank my daughter Sherry. She came down and stayed with Chris, came down Wednesday night. And when I drove to Texas and stayed with Chris Thursday and Friday and then went back home last night, her and Chris had a great time, went to town. Chris got her nails fixed. I didn't get mine fixed. But Chris got her nails fixed, and so she has got real pretty nails, and I really appreciate that. So Chris is doing really good. It was so amazing as I was down there in Texas. Every day people just run onto him on the lake or in the cafes or at a gas station on the way down or back, and somebody come over and, Jimmy, how's Chris? How's your wife doing? How's Chris? And Chris is getting better all the time. She walked better this week with Stephen McCartney, her rehab guy, than she ever has, and so she's getting closer and closer to that. I asked her this morning, I said, honey, do you know how long it's been since you had your stroke? And she said 2 years. And I said, well, not quite. It's been 21 months this week. And I said, in April, it'll be 2 years. And I said, by the time you get to that 2-year mark, you may be walking. And she talks to me perfectly clear, probably 70% of the time. The other 30%, she'll assess a complete sentence and get down to a really key word or two at the end of the sentence. Can't make that word come out. So she's came so far, but she's still got so far to go. God's working a miracle in her, and I told her this morning, I said, honey, irregardless of anything, you're alive. You're still here. God's kept you alive, and He's kept you alive for a good reason. And I think a lot of that reason is me. He just kept her alive because it blesses me so much. And she stays here with the ranch with me all the time, and I take care of her. And it's such an honor to get to take care of a lady like that. It's just absolutely amazing. She's such an incredibly wonderful woman. She just really is. So, but anyway, I just want to mention a couple other things too. By the way, we've got some appearances coming up this month here, just right around the corner. I'll be at the O'Reilly Leadership Conference down there in Dallas on Friday the 13th, which is just the end of next week, where we have all the O'Reilly managers come in. It's one of my very favorite events of the year. We had it in 21 because it was right in January before the pandemic started. We did not have that last year, and so we'll have it back this year. And we'll have all of the O'Reilly store managers from all around the nation there. There will be thousands of managers there, and we just absolutely have a ball. We're there at the Friday night shindig, I guess you could call it. In Texas, you'd call it a shindig for sure. And in Oklahoma, you call it a shindig also, where their meetings are over for the week. They've gone through all their great training and leadership meetings and everything, and then we're there for the last evening, 8 o'clock till midnight or 7 o'clock till midnight or something on Friday night, where everybody just sort of letting their hair down and having a great time. They'll have I don't know who they have, but some really big famous band or singers there lots of food and drink, and everybody will just be having an absolute ball. I look forward to that more than anything. So I just wanted to tell you, O'Reilly managers out there, or any of you O'Reilly people that are going to be able to be there, tell all your people back at wherever your store may be, whether it's in Sulphur, Oklahoma, or Ardmore, Oklahoma, or North Platte, Nebraska, wherever it is, tell all your people at O'Reilly I said hello. I'm running Superstart batteries, and O'Reilly is one of the greatest companies that I've ever been associated with. But if you are at the O'Reilly Leadership Conference, you're fortunate to get to go to that next Friday. Be sure to come by. I'll have my O'Reilly tracker boat there, powered by Mercury motor. We got my power poles on it, my Garmin Live Scopes, my Hydrowave. It's all wrapped in O'Reilly wrap. Come by and we'll take a picture around that boat. But be sure and come by and say hey if you're down there at that O'Reilly Leadership Conference this coming Friday the 13th. Also, I will be at Angler's Choice Marine in Lexington, North Carolina. Now, not Lexington, Kentucky, Lexington, North Carolina. That's where my buddy David Fritz, a great tournament fisherman, won the Bassmaster Classic. David Fritz is from Lexington, North Carolina. And I will be at the dealership that actually David Fritz started several years ago. It's Angler's Choice Marine now. They have 3 locations over there in that part of the country. I've done promotions for them before. It is their big open house that they're having on the weekend of January 21. Which is a Saturday and Sunday, just Saturday and Sunday week. It's just right around the corner. I'll be there all day Saturday, January 21. I don't know if it's Saturday and Sunday both. Just plan on being there Saturday. Saturday, January 21. I don't know what the weather's going to be like. It might be beautiful, but even if you go fishing that day, come by and spend a couple, 2 or 3 hours there. They'll have they handle Ranger boats, they handle Mercury motors, they handle tracker boats, they handle nitro boats. I believe they're a tracker elite dealer. I'm not totally sure. You know, our dealership, Jimmy Houston Marine, is a tracker elite dealer. And by the way, I have my 2021 Ranger up for sale there at Jimmy Houston Marine right now. We've got the wrap off of it. It looked like it rode out of the factory. It's got 40 some odd hours on the engine. Got a lot of warranty left on it. Absolutely the most decked out Ranger boat you will ever see. Everything in the world on it. It's about $25,000 or $30,000 less than what you'd pay or what it was when it was new. It's a 2021 model, but I only used it just 1 year, and I had run over I didn't run over it. I bumped a car down in Shreveport. Driving through Shreveport, I went to change lanes, and the other car come up on me at 80 miles an hour or something, and I scraped it and kind of messed up a fender. So I've been waiting to get that new Ranger fender in there. We've got it in there and got it on now. The boat is pristine. It is pristine, and it's you know, basically probably $110,000 boat. And so you can save a lot of money there. If you're looking for a new Ranger, that's an absolutely incredibly great Ranger to get. But I will be there at the big open house. I'm sure they'll have food and lots of great things there. And they will have some super buys on Rangers and trackers and Mercury motors and nitros and what all they handle. You know, a Tracker Elite dealer handles only White River Marine boats. We are a Tracker Elite dealer at our dealership there on Park Hill, and I believe that Angler's Choice Marine's a Tracker Elite. I'm not absolutely positive, but I do know they handle both Tracker Nitro and Ranger boats, so they've got all that, and they're all of them's got Mercury motors on them. That's what's the great thing about it. They all got Mercury motors. So I will be there Saturday, January 21, which is Saturday week. I'll be there pretty much all day on Saturday. Now that weekend is probably maybe Friday, Saturday, and Sunday for that open house, but be there and plan on having a lot of fun. You know, here in the South, particularly here in Oklahoma, we are having spectacular weather in the month of January. I look all the way out 15 days ahead. I look at the Weather Channel app on my iPhone, and I'm looking all the way out to 15 days ahead, which is like the 20th or 21st now, 15 days ahead. And the 22nd, maybe, I don't know. But anyway, I look all the way out there and I still see, you know, highs 62, 65, 59, 73. And you look at the lows and there's maybe 1 or 2 down there. It's like 31 or 32. So it's just absolutely beautiful weather. And I don't know how that's going to affect all the spring fishing, but it makes going out there and catching some fish good right now. We're having a hard time catching them here at the Eagle as well. I don't know how long it's been since I've caught one off this dock. And I fish a little bit here every day I'm here. I fished off this dock. I don't know how long it's been since I've caught one here. And I hadn't caught one here yet in 2023. I hadn't caught one yet here in 2023. But I did catch some out on the lake the other day. Slow rolling spinnerbait over about 5 or 6 foot grass right on top of that. And I had a half-ounce Jimmy Houston Legend spinnerbaits with 2 big willow leaf blades just ticking the top of that grass. And I went out there and I was talking about spinnerbaits, some things that you might want to learn about spinnerbaits, and you might know everything I was talking about, or you might pick up some little something that'll help you catch more fish this spring. But we'll have that video up on Jimmy Houston Outdoors Fishing channel on YouTube, probably maybe this coming week. I'm not real sure, but pretty quick we'll have that video up. So go over there and subscribe to Jimmy Houston Outdoors Fishing. Make sure you subscribe to the Catch a Better Life channel on YouTube, because you need to be subscribed to all 3 channels we have here on YouTube, because different stuff is up on all 3 channels. And our Facebook's getting pretty close to 650,000 people on there. Thank you. I just appreciate and love all my Facebook folks. So we're looking forward to another great week here at the ranch. I'll be here all week until we go down to Dallas. I'll have my Tracker 195 down there. You want to see a really tricked out Tracker 195, you folks that are at Raleigh. That show is not open to the public. It's just to some of the O'Reilly people. And if you're fortunate enough to work at O'Reilly and fortunate enough to go there, be sure and come by and say hi. And remember, guys and girls, have you a great week out there. A brand new year is starting, and God is going to do great things in your life this year. I know He is. Remember, I sure do love you.